Good evening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Handicap show, Thursday nights, as usual, and welcome to everyone. As you can see, again, I'm Brent's better half. I thought I'd give the old man a bit of a break. Guy works too hard. But no, he's away looking after some family duties tonight, so I'm obviously going to fill in for him. And obviously, we got some great guests. We've got the familiar face of old Oraclepedia, obviously. How are you doing, Oracle? Good to see you. Looking forward to pose you in a good couple of bets tonight.
Yeah, Chris, thanks, man. Hello, everyone. I think I'm just looking at my beard is slightly longer than yours, actually. So I don't think I've shaved in 3 weeks. But yes, otherwise pretty good. It was a decent weekend 2 weekends ago. Managed to scrape some money off Heinrich and a little bit more off Brent. So yeah, it was quite good. I wasn't on the show last week. I would have gone for the Lions. Well, I did punt the Lions both games. The Sharks definitely surprised me. I didn't think they'd smash Munster like they did. Wasn't surprised with the Leinster-Ulster result. But yeah, I enjoyed the rugby. I know that a couple of the guys who were quite surprised that the Griquas was winning. I wasn't. The Griffons beating the Bulls. I wasn't surprised. That kind of game you can expect in today's Currie Cup times. But yeah, rugby's alive and well, and a lot going on. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, cool, Oracle. And Pierre, how you doing? Nice to meet you. I know we've chatted before the show. We haven't shared the screen before, shared the show. So pleasure to be here with you tonight. How's it going? And yeah, how things going with you?
Yeah, no, thanks. It's great to be here and on with you both. When Brent wrote me this morning and he said the Oracle is going to be here, I moved my schedule so I don't speak until 11 because I see the Lions are playing again this weekend. But no, I had an interesting couple of weeks. I did very well on some Currie Cup and then gave it away again with the Sharks, actually going for too big a minus, and those late tries cost me. So it was sort of these up and downs the last couple of weeks. Did really well in one game, and then the Bulls went and lost to the Griffons. I only had Bulls over on points. They didn't win. So, it's been one of those, like you win some, you lose some. But I've been staying away from betting on Sundays. So following Brent's way of doing things, to have something in the pot on Mondays when those Currie Cup lines open.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, this Currie Cup is an interesting one to bet. I mean, I was saying, I remember two years ago, it was a blind bet overs every week, every match. 90% of the time hitting, and then last Currie Cup it got a bit inconsistent. We saw some weird teams, low tier refs that have got scrappy, and now I don't even know who the player. I don't even know the players are, Gavin. I don't know who the refs are. I don't even know what's going on in the Currie Cup. I can't read it. I find it quite tough. I was also on the Bulls last week as well. I thought surely to shoe in. I mean, I enjoyed the game, loved it for the game that Griffons won, but yeah, wasn't a winning bet for me there. But yeah, guys, let's get straight into it. We've got a nice show, some solid rugby, not as much as we've had previous weeks, but we're going to start in the usual Currie Cup, and we start tomorrow morning with the Crusaders taking on the Moana Pasifika. So quick preview what I've seen. I've seen some changes there for the Crusaders. Richie Moyonga is playing his 100 cap. I see there. You can either use it as an omen for a good thing or a bad thing. I must admit, every time I thought it was a good thing, I've seen the 100 caps guys play it. It hasn't worked out when I've thought about it, but yeah, Oracle, what do you think? What do you go? The cap's 29. It's quite high. I feel it's very high in my opinion for say the second team. That second side doesn't seem to put the tides away. So what are you thinking here?
Well, the first thing I'm looking at here, Chris, is you've got 66. You can take the 30 off there for the handicap. That leaves you with 36. You can cut that in half. They're suggesting that Moana Pasifika is going to score 18 points at the Crusaders. Do you know if this game's not there? Is it somewhere else? Because I know they're chucking a couple of dodgy venues here and there. But if this is in Crusaders, I'm going to say they've battled to get 18 points in all of their games. Obviously, the Brumbies game stands out, and the two games at home where they got 17 against the Highlanders and 29 in the opening game against the Chiefs. But I'm going to say this 29 for me is a big runner because, well, it's the play to go. Because I don't think this Pasifika team is going to get the 18 points. So if you're looking to go Over, rather go on the handicap here or go over on Crusaders points. Don't go over on the 66. I don't think you're going to get your 18 here. So the minus is a play for me in this game. I'm not terribly bullish on it, but I'm basing it on the statistical expectation of this away team not getting more than 20 points.
Yeah, no, I agree. But they haven't been great scorers in this competition so far, so I totally agree. And Pierre, what do you think? We go to you. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it's in the Christchurch Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you have more information. I should have actually double checked. I think it's not, but if you have information that'll be good. But what are you thinking? Yeah.
Yeah, also the same. Like, I'm not the Crusaders team is not the best one, right? Richie Moanga is standing out, but they're resting quite a few guys. But still, with that going Moana, it is going to be difficult, and you don't want to be on plus 29 with the Crusaders opening up in the second half, right? Especially if Moana can't score. So I would rather, if I have to take a punt here, go on the minus and enjoy the game tomorrow morning rather than sweating.
Yeah, no, I'm a bit on the fence here. I feel just the Crusaders let me down previously, but then if there's a team that cover these big minuses, usually it's the Crusaders, but they haven't been doing that too often lately. But I'm going to probably sit this one out for any big punts at the moment, see what the conditions are like, see what Crusaders side actually rocks up as well. Let's move on to big Australian derby. I've loved the Reds Brumbies game in previous years. They've always got at a good ding-dong battle, close games in Brisbane. Seen some thunder showers are coming through around game time at the moment, but obviously keep an eye on that because I've been to weather reports many times. So we'll start with you, Pierre. What are you thinking for this game? I'm leaning at this stage towards the Reds just on the last couple of weeks' performances.
Yeah, I mean it's a tight one to call, and for me, I saw some things on Twitter. The weather is not going to be the best out there, but I think we will finally get a proper Australian derby. I mean, with the rule change, they've been scoring too many points than previous seasons, the Aussie teams. So I think we're finally going to get that one. So under 52 would be my bet for tomorrow's game.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the safer play than taking the cap because this could easily be a point or two's game in it, and you can get backdoored there and at the end of the game. Gavin, what do you think in there?
I just wanted to make another point in the last game we're talking about. Geez, I hate these big minuses, but I've got to tell you, minus 29.5 doesn't scare me in this game. It just doesn't. It doesn't have that there's no fear attached to that number. And in any other fixture, it might, scare people, but minus 29.5 Crusaders against that Pasifika team, there's no fear at all. So don't be scared about that. It's either minus or no bet. In this particular game, I've got to say, I'm very surprised. I'm going to suggest I got the wrong favourite here. When I see this, I'm thinking Reds board straight out. And at plus 3.5, I'm expecting to get 15-10, maybe 16-10 if I look around. And that's good enough for me. I don't care if they win by 1. I don't care if it's 12-11. I just think the value lies with the home team. Again, unless they're playing this fixture somewhere else, because they've been doing that in this season. And again, before you chuck anything at any of these games, just make sure you've got the right team. I haven't taken anything on this game yet. I will do that research. I haven't done it yet. Sorry, Chris. I do expect the host to have that kind of information. Brent normally does. Any joke? Okay. Yeah, but no, Reds board for me. If they're playing at home, it's Reds board all the way.
No, they are playing at the Brisbane Stadium for sure, and I agree. I also, my first instinct at this stage is the Reds. Even with the teams they played, I just thought the Brumbies, also last week against the Toulouse, were very loose. I think Reds also weren't putting the chance away against Crusaders, but I think at home, I think McDermott. Also, it's quite an interesting game because you got McDermott and Leicester were left out of Eddie Jones's first Oz squad, so you got a few axes to burn, grinds to burn there with some players, so it could be interesting. We'll move on to
so that this particular Reds home is actually worth a lot more points than other home grounds. This is a really strong one, especially in an Australian derby. I don't remember the Brumbies winning comfortably here ever. And I know they've won the odd game, but I don't remember them running away with it. So, yeah, For
No,
me,
no,
definitely.
that's what I'm saying. It's been close encounters all the way, and if you put in the weather and you put in the current form lines, it looks like another 1 point game either way. All right, moving on to the Highlanders Hurricanes, another juicy one. We've got the Highlanders +7. Both Highlanders started the season pretty poorly, didn't they? But they seem to be getting better with each week. I'm enjoying the Canes rugby at the moment. Playing some good stuff. Points at 55. That's the New Zealand derby. It's around where I like it a bit. I'm licking my lips to start looking at the overs. What are you guys thinking, Gav? What do you think?
I'm thinking that these teams can score 55 each, the way they've been going in recent games. Again, I go to the plus here, and I know I did this in week 1 with the Highlanders, and it didn't work for me. But we're deep in this tournament now. I think they've played 5 or 6 games each. It's enough. The rust is gone. +7.5. It's too big for a home team, and a small play on the on the plus, and again a little bit on the board as well for the Highlanders. The value's got to be there. They're at home. I'll repeat it for the 3rd time unless this game's been played somewhere else. So I don't think it is. Highlanders at home +7.5. I'm very, very happy. I don't need to. The Hurricanes can win this game. They can win this game by 10, by 15, by 20. I'm not. That can happen without my money on them. I'd rather just go straight up and go for the Highlanders. And just looking at Brent Graham here, opposing me on the Brumbies minus, he can send me a message. I'm going to say that I prefer the Brumbies to the Highlanders.
Nice. And Pierre, what you got? You got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I sort of, when the Hurricanes play, I really look at the team and the Adi Savia factor. So last week I did well. I went on the force from what the guy said on the show because there was no Adi. Force plus, it came home. And this week he is back. I think they're playing a really good team. Barrett is in, and so on. So I'm a bit to the other side. I would go with the Hurricanes here. That guy just makes such a big difference. He is worth 7 points in every game. So I'm going to go with the Hurricanes here.
Yes, Gavin.
I'm very concerned, Pierre, that you suggested that the force, arrived. That was a country mile arrival. That was a 20-point arrival, 18-point arrival. We needed some more animation in your happiness that you won that bet because that one arrived properly. It didn't scrape home on the last second.
I mean, I only had the 90-10. If I were a bit more optimistic on the force, I would have celebrated. But I had the 90-10.
Well, you would have been unhappy though, because if you backed them on the board, you probably would have got around about 10 or 12 to 1, and that they didn't win and came very close actually.
Yeah. There was a few of those games over the weekend actually. I think the Highlanders can cover this. I think the Canes will definitely win, but I'm ironing out the overs. Over 55 for me. That's the bet I'll be ironing out naturally. If you follow anyone who actually does follow me. Moving on to Rebels and the Blues. We've got a +13 handicap for the Rebels. Also having a good season. Got far more backbone into the game. Nuggety, difficult to beat. Came against a fired-up Fiji, which I think most sides in Fiji will this season, but they were actually disappointing. It was another ding-dong battle of touch rugby, the points flowing. Blues, come there, 53 points. No strong feelings here for me. Pierre, you want to give it a go? What are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, I think the Blues are back to sort of old form, right? Last week they really they were so poor against the Chiefs. I know Barrett he let things go over the goal line there, stepping on the line at the end or early in the game. But for me, their backline is just not firing, right? Okay, the Rebels also didn't cover themselves in glory last week. But for me, a big plus like this, double-digit plus, away from home with the Blues, as inconsistent as they are, I'm going to go with the Rebels with this one, but not very confident, right? This not a confident one, but the Rebels.
Yeah, interesting. I see Brent's also thinking. I'm thinking just when teams have those, like Blues against Crusaders as well. They were over the line 3 times against the Crusaders. Probably should have won by 7. Over the line 3 times, I think, again last week, should have won by 7. And if I remember games in the history when this happens, Blues are about to probably pump Rebels by 30. It's just like they're just there. Silly things are happening, and they're a good enough team where they're going to. I think Rebels are in trouble this week, to be honest. I think Blues are covering this cap. Gavin, what you thinking?
I'm thinking that this reminds me of 2013. So halftime, the Blues were leading the Rebels by, I think it was 32-3 or so. It was a long way. And Sunbet had 750 to 1 the Rebels. And I took 10,000 Rand to 13 Rand. Stuck 13 Rand on at halftime. They lost by 4. I'll never, ever forget this fixture. This was Rebels Blues. Go and look at it. 2013 was the game. 750 to 1 at halftime. They were losing by 32 points or something. It was a crazy number.
Wasn't that a common theme with the Rebels? They were often behind and then they'll come back, but they're always way out of games.
They could have scored at the end to actually win the game by 1. So they might, I don't know, I think half this team wasn't even born then or were still in primary school when that game took place. But this one scares me, because it's just high enough to think that you've got a go at the plus there and you feel right. And it's also just low enough to think that the Blues can smash this up because they've really had a good season. And I'm not going to read anything to Brent Graham's little comment that he likes the Blues here, because Brent Graham's liked the Blues since the 1996s. So, I don't. It's like me telling you I like the Lions. You can't read anything to it. This is a scary game. I think this is a kind of game that you want to make a decision at halftime. It's just I don't have any feel either way. It's right. It's smack bang in the middle of where it should be. I think at 10 I'm a big, I'm a minus Blues, and at 16 I'm a Rebels plus. It's in the middle. I got nothing for you here.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm sure we've seen a trend of a lot of high-scoring Super Rugby games. I don't know if you... Okay, I'm a natural overs punter, so I'm looking at this 52, 55, 53, and I'm thinking, I don't know if I got it wrong or if I read it all wrong off the website, but these are looking like low points lines for me. Like, I'm not hardly even looking at any of them.
It certainly does look low, yes. I agree.
Yeah, so I'm not at this year. I'm not looking at the cap. The caps could be... We've seen so many guys coming through at the end. Their games are 2 halves. It happens so often. Anyway, guys, thanks. That's the end of Super Rugby. We'll move on to the Heineken Champions Cup now. Into the quarter.
Is it no Sunday game? Is that it? Is that all of them?
I believe so, yeah. I hope so.
I've had Sunday games for a few weeks now.
Yeah, so there's normally was one, but no, there isn't one. I don't believe so, Gav. Didn't see one. We're into the business end of the Heineken Champions Cup. Got a couple, obviously the big dog Irish teams there. South African teams, the Frenchies, so we're getting nice and juicy. Got a nice game tomorrow night as well. The Leinster up against Leicester. Nice one for the commentators tomorrow. But yeah, I see Leinster picked a very nice team playing at the Viva, probably close to full house. Leicester's not too shabby. I mean, I wouldn't say they're as good, but they've got some old dogs in there, some smart guys there, but I don't think they're going to hold them. 16's the cap. Gavin, what do you think?
This is my first year involved in any sort of punts in this league. Obviously going in just like the South Africans. So I'm going to say that this feels like a plus to me. I think this Leicester team can certainly stay within 16 points. I don't think they'll win the game. I think the board goes to Leinster. Again, let's take the 16 off the 51 here. That takes us down to 35. It's 17 points. I'm going to say that I'm expecting Leicester to score at least 17, and I'd take the plus. Yeah, the plus for me here, but it wouldn't be very big. I'm taking it easy in this tournament. Firing my Lions, so don't worry about that. But this particular fixture, I'll take a small plus here. It's one of those kind of games that I don't think Leinster will run away with. I did watch last week's game against Ulster. They'll probably just be happy to win this and move on, and they will win it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Leicester's got good play. They're still the English champs. They've got Pollard's playing well. Visser's back. It's a good side. If you look around the park, it's a good, solid side. But I think Leinster are too good. And I agree with you, Gav. European or Pro Deep or Pro 14 back in the day, and I battle with the matchups. If I haven't seen this game being played recently, I like the Super Rugby. I love that. I love this weekend slate for Super Rugby. but these games get very tough for me to read.
I know we'll be masters in 2 years' time, Chris. You know, we're still in primary school yet.
I'm still
school yet.
I'm still hurting from the first week of EuroC when all the South African teams were 25-point favorites, I think, and everyone got nailed by like the caps got blown out. I haven't ever recovered from that. My ego and probably my bank balance.
Yeah.
If you remember that first weekend of the EuroC when we travelled there. Pierre, what you got for us here? What you thinking?
Yeah, so I've actually been following a bit of Leicester this season, and they're quite a good run, unbeaten run, and things for them have just come together when Pollard came back to fitness and Visa is playing a good game. So this cap came out on Sunday at 18.5, and I immediately got onto the Leicester Plus. So
That's
sort of a
nice,
week out. So that's how I feel about them. I think they're a good package, and I think they should be able to keep Leinster in check. So as well the plus. And I saw WSB earlier tonight, they had some 18.5 again. So if you fancy the plus, that's maybe the way to go there for those a couple of points. But I'm sweet on Leicester to keep it within that 3-score margin.
Yeah, it's a nice classic European tie, isn't it? Two of the big dogs, all good. Yeah, it's going to be a great match. And I see Mark Dunphy, of course. I expect nothing less from you, Mark. 20 plus, of course. Yeah, the weather's going to be good. We'll move on to the next game. Toulouse and the old Sharkies. Oh, the Sharks. Oh man, I don't know. I can't read them. They're not getting my money. Toulouse at home. Also super solid. 11-point cap here. Pierre, where do you see this going? I think, the Sharks, I heard some of the Sharks had to take 2 separate flights and took 24 hours. Surely this back and forth from South African teams are going to be a start to catch up. I mean, it's like the 5th trip in as many months. I don't know. I know it's the same time zone, but it can't be fun. What are you thinking is going to happen here?
Yeah, I think the Sharks are going to miss a bit up front, and they need that to go win in France. I see Exeter stayed home, and the scrum off as well. Hendrikse is home. So I think that is the sort of thing that you need to beat Toulouse. The Bulls were never really in it. I expected more from them, but Toulouse, when they needed to, they just switched on. And they switch on and they go on and they finish the game. And I think this one will start out quite tight, but in the end, Toulouse should just have too much at home. The Sharks has got a team full of stars. Toulouse has that little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. And Itzebeth he's huge. Even when the first half there against Munster, he makes an impact. And I agree. I think against Toulouse, against that team, he's going to be in the fault. We're going to feel him not being there. Let's move on to Exeter and my boys.
To me, get on to me for the Sharks game. You got to hear my version of this one.
Sorry.
I got to tell you, Chris, I think you actually wrong. I think if you watched this game last week against the Bulls, you would have noticed that there was only one team playing in the second half. That in the first half, the Bulls actually put up it was a decent show. In fact, they could have gone into the hut in front. I think if you're backing to lose here, you're going to lose. I think the Sharks will be too good for these Oaks. I think it's a bad assessment to look at any scoreline from last week because the Bulls were shocking. In fact, the Bulls have got a handicap this week because somebody somewhere seems to think for some reason that Jake White is going to turn them around into absolute Griquas beaters. I don't know where that confidence comes from. This team, they're shocking. They're rubbish. The URC team as well as the Currie Cup team. I'm going to say that whole Bulls union is in trouble at the moment.
Yeah.
So that result last week has boosted this Toulouse handicap from what it should have been roughly about -4 or -5. They've chucked in the absence of, the guy you just mentioned a minute ago, the lock. Itzebeth, that's right. And for some reason, they've got a double-digit minus here. I'm not going to say they got the wrong favourite. The team is at home, and they did beat the Bulls last week. But I'm going to suggest this handicap should have been about -3 or -4. And I haven't called the Sharks right all season. most of the season, should I
Me
say. I was
too.
quite surprised at their result last week, but I've got to say, they thumped Munster last week. They properly thumped them. Toulouse thumped in the last 20 minutes a very bad Bulls team. I'm going to suggest the Sharks will come very close here. In fact, I'm expecting the Sharks to win this tie. I won't be going heavily into it because I have called them wrong, but I've got a suspicion that the market has read this game wrong, and the Sharks should be +2, +3, +4 here. This is a lot closer than what people think.
I was waiting for the Oracle rabbit hole, and there it is. You've heard it first. Sharks are going to win, beat Toulouse in Toulouse after the season they've had. So, yeah, I mean, they're good enough. Look,
and one more thing, Chris, you mentioned about the travel. I'm going to say South Africans have become pros at traveling 25-hour flights. They've been doing it to New Zealand for years, and now they're doing it to Europe. They spoke about this overnight 10-hour flight. It hasn't happened. They're going via Dubai and via Doha and via all of these places. Still a 25 or 30-hour flight. They're used to it, I promise you. This is nothing new to them.
Yeah, well, look, I have said it. For me, when the Sharks were full strength and playing at their best, for me, they're top 3 side. I've said it on record in other places. So it's probably not right for me to be turning them down now. But I think like you said, I haven't called them at the right spots. You know, they've had these massive blowouts, wins and losses. So for this game, I think this is a nice one. This will be a nice game, interesting game to watch for sure. I'll be obviously shouting the Sharkies. Hopefully they can put one over to lose. And sorry, Oracle, I didn't mean to pursue there. I saw Brent say Leicester was going to run away with and pull away, and it threw me off for 10 seconds. I was like, surely he wasn't talking about Leicester. Of course, he's talking about Leicester, so I do apologize. And that's why I said I can't play around all these banners and comments, and I think I'll lose track with what's going on. But we'll move on to the Stormers, Exeter Stormers. Another interesting one. Obviously, I'm going to say the Stormers just because I don't think Exeter actually having a good season at all. They had a massive game against Montpellier last week, which they probably shouldn't have won. The Stormers are just being the Stormers. I think the Stormers do win this. Points line set fair. Gavin, what do you think?
Okay, so I'm going to remind you of that tennis match at Wimbledon in it was 2005 or 2006 that went over 3 days. They played 156 games. And I remember saying to somebody in the office at the time, I said, whoever wins this game, whoever he plays next, back the other guy. And that's exactly what happened. The Oak lost the next match. Why? Yeah. It's physically tied. This Exeter team, I'm going to suggest, was lucky to get into this game in the first place. They played a marathon match of two sessions of extra time against a very, very game Montpellier team. It was one of the best games of the weekend last weekend. And I'm going to suggest Stormers had it very easy, except for the last 3 minutes of the game, which they managed to stuff up everybody's -9 around the world in about 3 minutes. -9 was comfortably home by 2 tries plus. They ended up scoring 3 tries in 3 minutes, 21 points, and basically took everybody out of here. -4.5 Oaks were gone. They took out -4 all the way to -20 in that 3-minute period. Stormers didn't care. They'd won the game already. Stormers are far superior to this Exeter team.
I agree.
I expect the Stormers to win this game double digits. I'd be taking away by 15 plus if you can get that where you bet. Or I'd be taking -9.5, -10.5, -8.5, that sort of area. I think Stormers win this game comfortably. I don't even think it'll be close.
Yeah, I agree. Good Stormers win as well for me. Just a quick one, Gav. For $200, you got 10 seconds. Who played that Wimbledon match? Who were the 2 guys who played it?
It was a French guy and an American. Jack Sock, I think.
4, 3, 2. Yeah, John.
I remember. It's a French guy.
Mahout, Nicholas Mahout and Isner. Yeah, French guy.
Mahout. Okay, yeah, yes, that's right. John Isner. So I got the John part right. I remember that. I watched it. I watched the whole thing. I don't remember players. I don't remember players. Even these Oaks, I don't remember their names.
Just having it all because quick fun with you there.
But I remember that I made money in the game that followed, and that was all I got out of that, and I was happy with it.
Yeah. Pierre, what you thinking? I saw some nod in there. You agree with us that the Stormers are just going to be too strong for Exeter?
Yeah. Look, like the Stormers is my team. So last week when this game went to extra time, I was a bit upset because I had under 51.5, and that Garbisi penalty took me out. But then I love that it went all the way. It would have been great if Montpellier had snuck it. But yeah, Exeter out on their feet. I know the Stormers only flew out on Tuesday or something. That would be a leveler on that, but then team against the team, the Stormers should be way too strong for them. It's also just one to keep an eye on the weather. I tried to get out to Exeter this weekend to go watch the game, but it is really to fly there. It's almost impossible to get there, and because it's below Cardiff on the English side, so the weather can turn very nasty there. So it's just sort of something to keep an eye on. But I would say Stormers on the minus, and if you're not sure, there's this 1-12, Stormers 16-10. You think Exeter can make a fight out of it, but I would just take Stormers minus 4.5 and enjoy it.
So we are saying that because Stormers' full strength side went out to Leinster, let's face it, was a second string Leinster and couldn't win. Are we saying that Leinster side's probably better than Exeter? Do you think on those form lines? But I think totally different sides and conditions, I know. But yeah, I just hope we don't. The South African traveling has got me stuck so many times this season. So I'm not going to be running in head first, but I do think it's a comfortable Stormers win. And then we'll move on to the last game. I love my La Rochelle at home in Europe. Saracens also having an iffy season. Not this, well, I can't say that. They're flying at the top of the English Premier, aren't they? But it doesn't feel like that same power for Saracens side. La Rochelle always good at home. I think this is maybe a few points, maybe too high for La Rochelle, but it's going to be a close game. What do you guys think, Pierre? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean La Rochelle, they're so good at home. Last week they got caught out by Gloucester. Right, but they still found a way to win. A little bit of help from the ref. If you are Englishmen, you sort of think that way, but they just know how to win at home. They'll get there, and 7.5 is a bit high, but I do not want to be on this plus against La Rochelle. So I would stick with La Rochelle.
And not the Saracen side. I think I agree. Oracle, what are you thinking?
I'm going to go to what Pierre said a little bit earlier. Doesn't like punting late on Sundays. So this is a Sunday game, number one. Yeah. Number two, it's like a Fairview Friday in racing. You know, if you win nasty at the Val on Thursday, don't get involved in Fairview on Friday. You're likely to give it back. I'll tell you what you do with this game, if you really want to. Take La Rochelle on the board, stick it in your multiples. Anything else you like the Stormers minus, chuck it in with that. And that's all you should be doing with this game. Minus is dangerous. The plus is dangerous. What we do know, La Rochelle will find a way to win this game, but you don't want to get into it heavy. And it is Sunday afternoon. Don't chuck away what you've made on Saturday into this rubbish, and don't leave this game hoping that it's going to get you out of any hole either, because it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I see Brent's coming there with the unders, which I think for European Saracens games are also quite generally tight affairs. So I think unders is something to look at there. But I agree, probably a little bit more value there on the La Rochelle money line for a multiple as well. Agree with that. So that takes us to the Champions Cup. Looking forward to that over the weekend. Let's move on to the money-making machine, which is the Currie Cup. Got some interesting storylines as well. Yeah, straight on to tomorrow. Bulls at home to the Griquas. I mean, this cap's flowing up and down and sideways and inside out. No one knows who's Arthur and Martha, who's coaching, who's in the team. But I think we know now who the coaches are. We know what the team is, which is not the team which I think a few punters during the course of the morning thought they were going to see. So I think there's two people going to be sweaty bums tomorrow. But yeah, surely the Bulls have to turn it around. But they ain't getting my money. So Gavin, what do you think?
I'm saying take the 5 or 6 to 1 you can get about the Griquas. Have a small punt, sit on your couch and watch the game. Don't get involved in any minuses or pluses. Just have a small punt on the Griquas. And I promise you, they're in this race. They are definitely in this race. They're not out of it. They're not outsiders. They are runners. Okay, runners. Yeah. Bulls can win by 50. They're not going to. Griquas are in this race.
No, the team I think also the team they've selected doesn't look like a team that's going to run away with this game at all.
In fact, if people looked at the form lines of the Bulls right now, they would actually say they'd have to get a vet check before going into the gates, and they wouldn't be allowed to run. Bulls are in such trouble at the moment.
It's like, I must say, I mean, look, I'm a South African supporter, but as a Providence supporter, I smile every time I see that Currie Cup log at the moment. I won't lie. Pierre, what do you think? What you got for us? Yeah.
Yeah, this makes me nervous. So when the Bulls line initially came out on Monday, it was Griquas -2.5. I stuck a big bet on the Bulls on the board at 12-10. Then the rest of the lines open. So I took all the way up to -14.5 at 4-1 for the Bulls. And when thankfully they named the proper side this morning. And then I had a look at the Griquas team, and that sort of front five, I think Hendrik also said it, is the front five of Griquas is just not, it's not the same one from last week, I think. It doesn't feel like their sort of first choice. So if the Bulls can't win tomorrow, I'm out. I know Jake is out, so me and him will be flipping burgers together if the Bulls don't win.
I'm just not sure if the flipping burgers are working in the drive-through.
I know, because so Province, man, I loved it when the Bulls lose. Really, last week against the Griffons, it was great, but man, they need to come good once. So I'm on the Bulls. Yeah, the -11.5. I still think they can get there. The team is, for me, it's the good team. Yes, it's the one that lost to the Province Currie Cup side, but it's Province, so that's what's going to happen against them. But I'm still backing the Bulls, and if you're not comfortable with the cap, I think it was Bulls over 31. Hendrik also mentioned. So over 31, and they can just run up and down Loftus on Friday night as long as the Bulls win by a point.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of faith there. I don't even think they'll get to 21. Never mind 31. I'm very worried about this Bulls team, mate. And I hope to be proved wrong. It's a small bet, Griquas board for me. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But geez, Griquas in this race. This what the Bulls have given us over the last few weeks. What they've dished up for dinner is poison in that food. Don't eat too much of it.
But do you think the new coaching setup's going to help them, Gav? With Jake being around?
It always takes time, Chris. That stuff doesn't happen overnight. It's like a kid with bad marks. He takes 2 terms to get it right. It doesn't happen in the next test. It just doesn't. There's so many problems here.
I think they're good enough.
Watch that Toulouse game. They played so badly in the second half, and that rubbish they left behind that played the Griffons. I mean, the Griffons won. Beaten them for the first time in 50 years or 100 years or whatever it is. It was fantastic for them. But honestly, they played an F team. They played the 6th. That's what was on that field.
Yeah.
That's how they were playing.
Yeah. All right, guys, we'll move on to the Sharks. I did cover, you guys did both of you cover. Yeah, we'll move on to the Sharks, Pumas. Another one, Sharks plus Pumas, as well as having a conversation the other day. I don't know what you guys, but this is Pumas competition. They're playing some lovely rugby. They look by far the best team. Also just the way they're playing. These offloads that they're throwing, and everyone seems to know their business. Proper team, proper unit, proper coach. Like, this league is too strong. This is where they're out of this league. But yeah, I think they probably take care of the Sharks team again. The Sharks B team is also woeful. So, I mean, I would be on the Pumas minus here. What are you guys thinking? Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, no, certainly. I think Jimmy Stanhouse is going about it quite well. He's playing his best side every week. Because as soon as the Lions gets knocked out of the URC, the Bulls will get knocked out in the quarterfinals. The Sharks, perhaps, depending on who they get away, will get knocked out. And the Cheetahs might get Frans Steyn back for a few games. The Currie Cup is 1 month longer than the URC, and probably 6 weeks when you look at when the Bulls and the Sharks, etc., should get knocked out. So Jimmy needs to make up his points now in the first round, and he's doing that. So I can't see the Pumas taking the foot off the pedal. So I would go with the Pumas here on the minus because it's Jimmy Stonehouse. Don't bet against Jimmy in Currie Cup.
Yeah, they're playing well. They're really good. They're really good. And we'll move on to the mighty blue and white hoops of Province versus the mighty.
There, you're giving me another game with no Sharks.
Sorry, Gav.
It's right.
It's not deliberate. I'm sorry, mate.
Right. If you told me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago that the Sharks would be plus 13 against the Pumas in a Currie Cup game, I'd have laughed at you. But the reality is that number's right. It's actually right. Probably a little bit short, actually. I'm just thinking, you know, they played the Lions last week away, and they were favourites actually to start that game. So they've gone. The bookmakers have actually made about a 16-point move here. They were -2 or -3 against. Because I remember I had 14-10 Lions on the board last week. So yeah, they've gone to. This is a big swing. That's the only thing that worries me is the Lions team. Yes, the Pumas are better than them, but this is a massive swing. This is one of these games. I'd like to see how the first sort of part of the game gets going. I might get involved at halftime. I don't know if I'm taking -13.5 just at this point. Again, I've sort of banned myself a little bit on the Sharks because I haven't called them right. It's been very bad. This is a dangerous one for me, and I'd like to watch a little bit. I might get involved in the Pumas or the Sharks for that matter at halftime, but right now it feels like it's right. It really does. Similar to that other game earlier we were discussing. Nothing jumps out at me here.
Yeah, I agree, Gav. Like I said, the Currie Cup for me, just in general, has been a tough one to call. I can't get the spots right, get the points right when it's overs and unders games. It's a minefield for me, which so I'm not going heavy at all on the Currie Cup at the moment unless it really sticks out. Apologizing for that, Gavin. We'll move on to Western Province. You can say whatever you want about them. I'll allow you for another mistake. But yeah, we got the Western Province versus the Griffons. Another game of two halves. Luckily I didn't watch that game.
No. This is like that. You remember that game in the World Cup when Uruguay beat Fiji? Do you remember that? And it was very similar to that tennis match we just discussed. So Uruguay got up. I think they won 27-24. It was 3 or 4 points, something like that. And they had a big handicap. They were like, I think they were plus 25 or something like that. And they won the game. They won the game by 4 points. So it wasn't a penalty. So the Fiji couldn't get it. And what happened the next game? They got thumped. So I'm just thinking that the Griffons is what's going to happen here. The Griffons winning that game last week against the Bulls, biggest game of their careers. There's probably framed pictures of Oaks diving for tries on their above their bar in there, that have been signed by the whole team. I mean, this is the kind of thing that could have happened in this town at this clubhouse for this week. I'd say these Oaks are still punch drunk. I'd like to believe that they're going to give Western Province a go. I'm a bit worried about that. So again, this is one of those games you've got to see how they've come out because, when Ireland won the Six Nations, you knew the Stormers were going to do well against that Leinster team. They put a B team up there or a C team. And what happened? Their whole country was still happy because they'd won the Six Nations Grand Slam for that matter. So that was big. And when they came back the next week, they weren't ready to play rugby again. Nobody was. And I think the same thing is here. I think these Griffon Oaks woke up on yesterday at lunchtime to go, all right, maybe we need to practice. We've got a game this weekend. I think this hangover's lasted a long time. I reckon Welcome Rugby Fraternity drank till late on Monday. I'm not joking. That's what happens in small towns like this. So I'd like to see a little bit of what happened. If they come out fresh in that first half, I'll be the first one to get on to them. But I don't know if I'm going against them. They played well enough for me.
Yeah,
I could win this game.
Yeah, this is usually a trend for me when a team like the Griffons plays like that game they did against the Bulls, and then the Western Province obviously completely underperformed last week. This for me is the bounce back of a big union like Province to go and take it away by 20-30 usually. So if I was
Chris,
to bet,
they win this game by 60. That's how big it is. I mean, it depends on the hangover that the Griffons got. That could be thumped. But if they got into training on Sunday morning the next day, they chucked around the ball and they played, they run this year because of what happened last week. They've now got belief.
Sure. I mean, if it's just previous years, I would have had that. If it was gone to a head, tell me what handicap you bet, and I would still be 13. But just because the way this Currie Cup's gone, I'm not giving you anyone confidence or you confidence or anyone on a bet at the moment. But that's where I would lean on the Western Province side. Pierre, what you thinking? What you got for us?
Yeah, I mean, the Griffons, I think every other game so far, they have been on the wrong side of the handicap, other than the Bulls game, right? So for me, that's really a black swan. And we've made money just opposing the Griffons all the way through. And it was their one event. And yes, I think those brandies stopped flowing tomorrow when they get to the airport to fly down. Right. So I really think, like, Province lost the game last week up front in the second half. They couldn't scrum all of a sudden. They couldn't hit the line out. And if they get that right and continue to have that right throughout the game, they should easily cover this cap.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, no, agree. We didn't have any points line, guys. I was asking also before the show. Usually there is Friday points lines up. I see the bookies obviously nervous again, or for whatever reason they're not out. So, but yeah, can't discuss to them. But yeah, that's the Currie Cup, and we have. I think you did
left out a Currie Cup game. You left out my Lions playing on Sunday. Another game for Pierre. Sunday game. They are playing. I'll tell you that they're playing the Cheetahs.
No.
They're playing the Cheetahs.
Gav, because they're not going to win by 50. So Pierre, what you thinking? Yeah, no, I'm joking, Gav. Gav, what
no, but this is a very interesting game because the Cheetahs got thumped in that match that they played against another French team. They were rubbish. They were horrible.
No,
I was on the plus there.
What the Lions, the URC Lions? I mean the European Lions.
No, the URC Cheetahs got thumped by that team. I mean, I was
Toulon,
they were rubbish. In fact, I switched off. I don't even think I watched the last half an hour. I switched that off. I moved on. Toulouse, that's right.
Toulon.
Toulon, sorry. They weren't in the game. It was 30-0 at one point. I'm just looking at the scores here.
Yeah.
19-0, sorry, that's right. No, it was 19. In fact, it went up to 19-0 was the first half before the Cheetahs. I didn't even watch the second half. I saw 19-0 and I moved on. They didn't come in. They lost by 15 and the handicap was 11, I think. So I was out there. This handicap, they've got Lions at 6-1. I saw earlier 6 or 7-1 to win the game. I'm just going to have a bet on the Lions to win the game. I think it's decent value. After beating the Sharks last week, it's the same team. These Cheetahs are coming back from Europe. They're dejected. They're unhappy. They're out of the tournament. They played so badly last week. And if those are playing, I'm going to tell you this handicap's too big. This plus 13 is way too big. For a team that beat the Sharks comfortably against a team that has played badly overseas. I don't know. The team that beat the Bulls by... What did they? It was 31-7. There was the runaway try with the ball. This is not the same team. Don't read anything into that.
Yeah. And the Lions are just actually quietly, like you said, last week, the Lions was quietly doing their thing. And even though it was the Pumas, they lost. But if you watch, if they put 80 minutes together, they're top 4 side. They're giving guys a good run. Pierre, what are you thinking? Yeah, what you going with?
Yeah, I agree. I think this little holiday south of France last week, that's just one bridge too far. I think the Cheetahs will squeak it in the end by 1 or 2 points. So I would definitely want to be on the Lions plus here. On the board, I'm not sure. They're still a decent team, but for me, Lions on the plus. This is a great bet.
So when Pierre says they'll squeak it, he's right. So that's why I take the 6 or 7-1 because there's a chance they may not squeak it. But I think the advice here is don't stick Cheetahs in your multiple. Rather watch the game.
Yeah, good call. Now that is officially...
Especially on a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. You don't want the Cheetahs board to be your last leg.
Yeah, no, you don't. You're absolutely right. All right, that is now officially the end of the Currie Cup, guys. As you can see, I'm battling to go through everything that's on this platform, but it's good we get into it.
It's just the Challenge Cup. I was going to say the only game I'm interested in Challenge Cup is the Lions playing against Glasgow over there.
They're not going to win by 50.
Big as well. I know. I saw they were also something like 50. Oh, there you go, 16. I think that's too much. I really do. I think they thumped that French team properly with 14 men. I know Chichuka or whatever his name is, he's out. But geez, this Lions team has found something. I don't know what happened in the change room 3 or 4 weeks ago, but it's worked. I think they're runners here. I really do. I know it's my team, and I'm going to look at it differently. So I'd rather hear Pierre's and your advice for this. But I'm on the Lions here. I think 16 is way too much. The handicap and board at 16, I'm going to get 8, 9, 10-1 possibly if I'm lucky. I'm more interested in that. I think they're definitely in this match. This is not race over.
I will actually go a little bit against you. I think Glasgow are just too good at home, and the Lions races run. In my opinion, I think Glasgow it's a step too far for me for the Lions at Glasgow at the moment. Pierre, what you going for?
Yeah, I saw the points coming out at 52, and they play that artificial pitch, which is always decent. But then it is really coming down in Glasgow at the moment. So the pitch might be nice, but if you can't catch the ball, you can't score a try, right? But I also think 52 is too low. So here I would just go over 52 in the match. The Lions will get points. Glasgow with Hugh Jones and Tuipulotu in the midfield, they will get some points. So for me, over 52, and that's where I'll stop on this one.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. I think that's a good shot as well. I think Glasgow. Another trend that's served me well over the last couple of months is these Scottish sides at home. They're often covering. You can get a nice line around 30, sometimes under 30, and they're often breaking 30 points. Yeah, Gail.
So you guys like Hugh Jones because he used to play for Western Province. That's why. It's probably the only Oak in the team. I remember when he played for Province. So the other thing with this, you said it was raining in Glasgow. Well, I'll tell you a quick joke. So a guy goes to play golf in Scotland, and he says to the caddy, "It's going to rain today." He says, "Can you see that rock out to sea?" He says, "Yes." He says, "It's going to rain today." He says, "What happens if I can't see the rock?" He says, "It's already raining." Apparently, it rains every day in Scotland.
Yeah, it does. I used to live quite close to that Scots Stadium. So yes, you literally summers 5 days, 4 days of about 20, searing 28, and then it's done. So yeah, we'll go. Yes, we've covered the Glasgow game. We'll move on to the Scarlets and Clermont tomorrow night. It's +1. I normally never bet on the Challenge Cup, but I'll tell you now, this looks like a game for me that I'm licking my lips to get betting on, because I think this cap is woefully wrong. I don't think Scarlets are anywhere good enough to cover this cap. So yeah, what do you guys think? Pierre, have you looked at the Challenge Cup? What are you thinking for this game?
Yeah, so I've not looked at it, but the one thing with the French sides is you need to sort of have a look on where they are on the log in the local competition. If they are down low, they're going to go for this. If they are higher, they are not. Like 4th, 5th, 3rd, they hate traveling, the French, the domestic teams. One of my mates played for teams, and he said they hate playing an away game if there's nothing to play for. So if they're down on the log, they want to win this to get into the Heineken Cup. So if that's the case with Clermont, they were going to go out and play. And if they're sort of nowhere, stay away from the French on the road.
Yeah, I'm saying that because, like you say, you're right. That's two things. You do need to see what French side, away sides rocked up. Absolutely. So taking it pre-match is a little risk in itself. But I'm just looking at what Clermont have done previously. I should actually know what they are on the log. I don't know if you know. I think they're mid-table, aren't they? I don't think they're in the top. They're struggling because they had the whole coaches issue. There was a whole walkout and all of this going on. They had some issues there. Then they gave Stormers a good run for 60 minutes. But also last week they went to Bristol. Not a bad Bristol side at all. For me, Bristol would beat Scarlets by 10 points. They beat Bristol by a good couple of 7 points. I think they cover this cap easy. That's just my thoughts at the moment. But not a big punt at the moment. Another all French affair, Toulon versus Lyon. French rugby guys. Not often getting involved because we know it could be anything. But I don't know if you guys have had a look. If you had a look, you think of anything, have any opinions on this game, Brent?
Chris, you left me out again on the last game, but no problem because I didn't really have much to say. I was going to say that what Pierre said is actually very good advice, especially for anybody looking to get involved in a game they don't know much about. This particular tournament, I was talking to a bookmaker in England that I know a few weeks ago before the. In fact, it was very early in the URC season. And he said to me, the French don't care about these tournaments. They actually don't care about these tournaments. And the only thing that's going to get the French involved in a game like this is if they've got nothing to play for at home, or it's the sort of B, sort of C team guys, the second stringers getting into the game and wanting to prove themselves, or if they've got a chance of getting into the Heineken, into the main draw of this tournament for next year. So that's very important advice. I don't know what's happening with Clermont. However, I do know the Scarlets are not that great, so this does scare me a little bit that they plus 1.5. It's almost a level game. So I'd be looking for a bit of Clermont, depending on their motivation to win this fixture.
Yeah,
the next game, you had... Sorry?
Yeah, I just had a quick look at the top 14 log, right?
Yeah.
So Clermont is in the bottom third. This is the only way they get into the Heineken Cup. They can't get.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for me, the French plus here, or in fact the French board, or a small -2 or 3 for getting a bit of value, they'll probably get it away. I wouldn't be looking for Scarlets here. For me, it's Clermont minus or no bet.
Yeah, I agree that the power and the talent that these French sides have, if they come and they want to win, if they want to come to Scarlets and win, they should win. And I agree, Gavin. And I apologize yet again for the third time. I owe you a lot of bloody beers when I see you next time.
You can start with Toulon with me now, so you don't miss me out on the Toulon game.
Yes,
right, so this is the team that beat the Cheetahs. I know the French teams are decent at home, but I'm going to say again, this is very similar to that game against the Bulls. The Cheetahs were so bad that you can't read anything into it. So I'm going to suggest this Lyon plus is probably a small runner. But again, this is very small. You guys have got to understand, this is like Varsity Cup small. This is tiny stuff. I'm not getting involved in this stuff. But I'm going to suggest Lyon plus, is the right way to go. I wouldn't be taking that minus because I think it's 100%. Oaks have looked at them, how they beat the Cheetahs last week, and they say, wow, they smashed them up. The Cheetahs arrived lethargic. They played lethargic, and they're going home lethargic. And they'll lose to the Lions lethargic. That's 4. Very hard. Tongue twister, that one.
Sure. Pierre, have you also had a look at this game?
Yeah, just a brief look. So Lyon turned over Stade Francais last week by quite a big margin away, right? And Lyon is up in the running for a top spot in the league. So was Stade. Toulon is a little bit down. So I mean, probably on the form side, you would say Lyon. But I hope this is on a Sunday that I wouldn't need to get involved. And 48 is a bit low, so. You know, if it's a Sunday and a bit bored, maybe 100 on over 48.
Whoa, these Sunday games are coming to haunt us, Pierre. But yeah, there you go. Sapiak 37 has confirmed the motivation. That's good enough for me to lift it from a level 0.3 units to 0.4. So I'll take the extra. I'm happy. Oh, this one's tough. I'm going to say, just looking at this number, I'm going to tell you the Italians are worth a punt here. 5.5 does seem a bit low at home. I don't like this Cardiff team. They've not impressed me this season. Benetton have blown hot and cold, but I got to say the minus at first glance looks, again, it's probably a Sunday game. This minus 5.5 looks value to me.
Yeah, Pierre, what you thinking?
Yeah. No, same. I agree 100%. Italians at home, Benetton, good team, and they should give Cardiff a good go. And I think Cardiff has also got one eye on finishing first amongst the Welsh teams, right? To get automatic into the Heineken Cup, although they can't crack a quarter in the URC, right? So for me, Benetton is the way to go.
Yeah, fair call. Not a game I usually use bet on with these stuff. This is all classic Pro 14 games that I see on the slate and I go right past and didn't even look at the score, even what this previous score was. So I'll leave that one up to you boys. And I think I agree, take the home side. Yeah, I believe, guys, I've got through even, besides missing a few people.
Yeah.
I got through everything. I apologize, Gavin. It was not intentional. Just trying to get used to this board again. I've got through everything. I believe we can move on to best bets. Gav, I'll leave the floor over to you, my man. What is your strongest bets for this weekend? Give it to the guys.
I actually don't know, Chris. I'm going to need a minute to think about that. I know that. No, sorry. I don't need a minute. I've remembered quickly. Stormers minus double-digit win here. This is proper. You can go 3, 4, 5 to 1 here. Stormers minus all over. That is best bet of the weekend. And I'm going to suggest that the Sharks is probably the second best here. I really think they'll win this game. And I've banned myself a little bit from that because of bad reading. But honestly, Stormers followed by the Sharks. And listen, I think there were 4 games we discussed on Sunday. There's almost a Yankee you could put together on Sunday rugby this weekend.
Let's see how Saturday goes, and we'll take it from there. Yeah. And Pierre, what you got? What you thinking? Well, let us know what you're
I'm looking at my piece of paper, and obviously I'm sticking my head out for the Bulls this week, but I can't say it -11 anymore for anyone else to make it a newsletter bet. Right? That's not the one. It's not the one I have. So I'm gonna say Stormers as well, -4.5. The match won't see my money. I don't bet on my own team. I've learned this a long time ago, but I would say that is for me as well. This is the best bet of the weekend.
Nice, thanks, guys. So you guys are the guys been giving more punts than I have, but for me, loving the Hurricanes, Highlanders over 55, loving the Blues over 31 points, and I love Claremont a -2, the -1. Those are my 3 big strong fancies for this weekend. Guys, it's been good. I appreciate it. Not as smooth as probably would have liked it to go, but it's been a pleasure having you.
Great, Chris. You always do a good job. Listen, I promise you, what people don't realize is what you're doing is a hard job. It's not easy. I did my YouTube channel for a long time. It's hard work, Greg. Done very well.
And I said to Brett, because I've played landline with all the games, but all in the wrong order, and that's what I was doing. So I was flipping the content.
No, don't worry about that.
I totally forgot who was speaking. I'll be honest, Brett, it wasn't deliberate. I lost track of where we were.
No, I know that. And I'm pretty sure that the people watching us just want to hear what we have to say. They're not worried about the semantics of how the show works.
Yeah.
Besides, they get a great view of that little stadium in Queensland, wherever this is. I can't remember.
If the weather can be like that, you got to be firing over 51 all day tomorrow. But I think it gets Brisbane when it's got that, when those storms come through, it's like Durban ×2 sometimes. Balls just popping off their chests every second pass. Yeah, well, guys, looking forward to a good game of rugby. Really enjoyed the show, guys. First time with you, Pierce. Been great to do with you as well. Gav, always good to see you. And we'll hopefully see each other soon. And everyone have a great punted weekend. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, bye-bye.